In a world that moves fast and often stays shallow, I invite you to slow down, breathe, and dig a little deeper. As a film director, legacy planner, and faith driven entrepreneur, I know the power that lies beneath the surface, the stories, lessons, and unspoken truths that shape how we live and how we lead. Each episode explores the layers of life, loss, leadership, and love with raw transparency, heartfelt humor, and spiritual insight. From every conversations about healing and hope to the unfiltered realities of building a meaningful legacy. This is where real talk meets eternal purpose. Because the deepest work isn't buried, it's discovered. Let's get started. Every voice carries power, but not every voice carries connection. Kenneth Boston has mastered both. A successful podcaster and community builder, he's proof that authenticity builds audiences and consistency creates trust. Today, we're talking about how to amplify your purpose, your presence, and your people. Welcome to Digging Deep with Dr. Christie K. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. First, I want to thank you for being a supporter of Mansfield Funeral Home. You reminded me that you were here for the grand opening of the crematory.
That's correct.
Here in Mansfield, and I really appreciate. I can see when you like stuff or you heart stuff on Facebook. You know, some people that don't say much, not a lot of comments, but I can see when you're paying attention. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem at all. But I understand how big that is. Just a like, a share, or just a comment here and there just lets people know that whatever their content is, they're posting and everything that is coming across to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you have the courage to post, and then people look at it but don't make any type of comment, after a while it makes you feel like I'm not getting across to people. And then I'll be out and someone will say, "Oh my goodness, I saw your post the other day about this, this, and this." And I'm like, "Well, why didn't you like it?" It takes a second to like or heart. Let me know that you see it. So do you have that? Do you take the likes or not getting likes as a way to determine if you're making any impact, or how do you approach that?
I used to at first.
Okay.
Because that's the common thing to judge by what you see people like, or what you view as on your own content as people liking it or commenting. But I feel the same way. I would be out doing different stuff and somebody would mention something about the show and they will mention something specific. So I'm like, I know you saw it. I know you just not approaching me and trying to be, hey, I watched the show, but not really knowing the details of it just to be nice. So I can't be honest with you, I have had a bunch of people come up to me and say that they watched the show that I have never seen them like or share, or even, when we go live and it shows you different people and who's joined the live. I haven't even seen these people in the live. So I'm like, okay, interesting.
Okay. So that doesn't make you feel any kind of way. So have you ever had a show where it was just you and the people on the show and no one else was live? Have you ever had that before? Or do you normally have a certain group of people that join every show?
We have a small group of people who join just about every show, but there are some shows where, there's just been us looking at the cameras and talking, and there are people pop in here and there, but that's part of the growth. Not everybody is gonna have a built-in following. Immediately you have to build that, and you have to build the trust, and you have to build the content, and the people have to get to know who you are,
right? To
really want to tune in and follow and have that dialogue with you over social media,
right? And I think about in this space, in the funeral service space, where I have to put myself out there. I'm really actually an introvert. I'm a very shy person. However, the role that I have taken on as CEO and founder of multiple locations, I have to talk myself up to be able to relate to people and talk to them, because I do find myself being very inward. So when I took on this endeavor to have a podcast,
to talk. I really didn't do it to go viral or to be concerned with hundreds of thousands of people, paying attention. However, I've noticed over the last couple of months that the quality work conversations that I'm having, we have people that do like it, but I look at the foolishness on social media and it's like millions of views of someone making themselves look silly or making fun of other people. But then when you have people like your platform and my platform where we're looking to edify and to, edify the community and build up people's thought process and change their mindsets, people don't seem to be paying the same attention. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean that's part of the game too. I mean, of course, every now and again you'll see something and you'll be like, "Man, that got a lot of views. I wonder if I did that, could I, garner the same type of traffic?" But it's like, at what cost?
At what cost?
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, but there are certain things that are within me that I just can't see myself doing. Or as they say, when you do those certain things, you quote unquote sell your soul. And it's like, you know, when people see me in public, I got to be able to stand on my content. I got to be able to stand on what I put out because it's part of who I am. I don't want people to see me out and think that I'm this monster because I create this content that everybody loves. But it's like, I'll say this: people have blurred the lines between reality and social media because people think that those reality, content creators are really like that in person, and a lot of them aren't. It's just all entertainment.
Yes.
But I chose to approach it in a different manner where, as we always say, I like to put the medicine in the candy. I want to educate you, but I want to entertain you as well.
Right.
Right? Because you want to tune in and you want to listen, but everybody wants to be entertained at some point. And then we, throw stuff in there here and there that I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. And sometimes people are learning things and they don't even know that they're learning it.
Right. Exactly. And it's funny because people will say to me now, "You're the same person in person that I see on social media." And I'm looking like, yeah, well, how else am I supposed to be? Until now, recently, like in the last 6 or 8 months, I found myself in rooms with, social media celebrities. Like I went to, where did I go? Martha's Vineyard, surrounded by, it was celebrities everywhere. So I took the time to kind of sit back and watch them. These are regular people. A lot of them were very self-conscious. Like if no one was talking to them and they didn't know that they were being watched, like they were like kind of trying to figure out how to move and how to be in that space by themselves. I've even been in rooms where people that have millions of views are very socially awkward when they're not in front of the camera. And I'm like, interesting. So what do you think about the authentic person that's social media and, in public versus someone that's not authentic? Do you give much thought about that? What do you think?
Yeah, I give a lot of thought to it for me because, again, I want to be relatable.
Yeah.
I want to be able to go out in public and, mingle with people and talk to people. And, to be quite honest with you, my name is Big Ken on social media. So when people see me in public, they're like, "You're really big."
He's a big guy. How tall are you?
6'5".
He's 6'5". I'm looking up like, wow. Yeah, you're a big guy.
So when people see me, that's the first thing. They're shocked that, okay, well, you're actually big.
You're actually big. And your name is Kenneth.
But they also, thrown off, I think, by how humble I am and how talkative I am to people in public. And it's like, this wasn't natural all the time. I've always been a talker.
Yeah.
But as far as just engaging, strangers and random people, not so much.
Okay.
Right. But as I've, grown into my adulthood and who I really am, I love talking to people.
Okay.
I love having conversations with people because you never know what value somebody else can bring to your life just through a conversation.
True. That's true. Yeah. That's true. Well, what first drew you to the mic, and then when did you realize podcasting was more than just a hobby?
Okay, this has been a journey because I've been eyeing radio since I was a kid,
Okay.
but I allowed people to talk me out of it. So when I originally went off to college, my first degree was in architecture. So yeah, because it makes money, and people's like, yeah, you're gonna make money doing this, and
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, I really want to be a mass communications major, and they're like, that's not gonna make you money. That's not gonna.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take you a long time to build yourself up. So I let
Mm-hmm.
people talk me out of it.
Okay.
But fast forward to years later, on social media, I develop a following. I use a hashtag that a lot of people know I'm associated with. That's on my hat.
You see it. I'm
So
like, that's Ken right there.
yeah, so when people see that, I'm in the store and people are shouting it out in the store. It's to that extent.
Wow.
So I was like, you know what? What if I took this, and my post and my social media stance and put it to video so people can see me, talk through it and that type of content.
Mm-hmm.
Now this was before social. This was before the pandemic. So I started, putting my things in order and getting those things, lined up. And then the pandemic happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I already had the equipment to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sitting at home, not doing much. I might as well go ahead and, start doing some stuff, start testing the waters. So that's exactly what I did. I just one day set up my equipment, was in the garage at the time and just went live and talked. And at first it was that awkward, a couple of minutes where nobody's there and you're just talking and talking and talking, and then you see one person, 5 people, 10 people. And of course during the pandemic everybody was sitting at home, so it went from 5 or 10 people to 100, 150 people,
Wow.
on live at one time, and it just grew from there. So that's all it really was, me just stepping out and saying, you know what, I'm just going to go live.
That is so dope.
Yeah, and see what happens. And it turned into what I have now.
That is so awesome. So the naysayers are the people that rerouted you to architecture because of the money. Are you grateful for that experience so that you know that's not what you wanted to do? Or do you think that you should have just come out the gate doing exactly what you wanted to do?
I'm one to think that my journey is what it is because it was meant to be that way,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, of course, I would want to come out of school and go mass communications and have this long career in radio because that was one of my first loves and my first passion. But maybe I wouldn't be who I am today if I would have took that route.
Right.
So I'm not one to second guess God. He sent me on this path that he sent me on for a
Mm-hmm.
reason. And so the ups and downs, the things that I've learned and the people that I've met, most important,
Yes.
because throughout this journey, I've met a lot of people who sold into me and who I am at this point. A lot of great mentors that I think if had I gone the radio route initially, I probably wouldn't have met these people.
Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So no regrets.
Nope.
No regrets. So family man. So let's talk more about Ken personally. So Big Ken, personally, are you a family man? Do you, what do you do for fun? Do you skate? Do you, besides the microphone, what else do you do?
Okay, so I'm a family man.
Okay.
I have 3 children,
Okay.
and that's what I pour my time into. But my children are older now.
Okay.
So my 2 sons are 25, 24, and 21, and then my daughter's 14. So that's where I spend a lot of my time. But I mean, other than that, most people know me for playing basketball.
Okay.
So that's what I spent a lot of my time doing, playing basketball, being involved in that in one way or another until a few years ago when I tore my Achilles.
Mm.
So that made me pivot into being connected with my sons on something that we grew up doing, playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I had kind of stepped away from. As you get older, you stop playing video games and stuff. So I got back into that during the pandemic. And I also was able to parlay that into content as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're playing the game, people say, what is this old guy doing on the game? It's young guys, and they're just amazed that, hey, you're pretty good at this. But for us, it's something that we grew up doing on top of the fact that we have basketball IQ, we know the game,
Right.
and we still can be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, you play the video game for, for me, just a couple of hours a day or maybe late at night before I go to bed. And I use that content to put it out there. And because these kids consume the content so much, like I created a page for NBA 2K, me playing NBA 2K maybe a month ago, and I already have over 50 or 60,000 views.
Wow.
So it's just a matter of you have to realize now that everything is content, everything you do. So I even bought a pair of Meta glasses, and when I go do stuff, I wear those glasses, document it. That's content.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's very smart. And within this content, since you have adult sons and a teenage daughter, do you take a second thought about the content that you create because of her? You being a girl dad, she's a teenager. How do you determine what's appropriate, what's not appropriate because of her?
Yeah, I'm big on that. Like
Okay.
I definitely know my kids, they're gonna see it.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the, sometimes they're around when I'm recording. So there are things that they hear me talk about that they're like, wow, Dad, really? But I'm like, I have to remind them that Dad, you don't know Ken. And as you get older, you'll know more about Ken.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because you that's all you've known is dad.
Right.
Right. But as you get older and people say stuff and you're like, wait a minute, my dad did that?
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you did that? When you were doing this stuff when you were my age? Oh yeah. I had a whole life before you came about.
That's right.
Right.
That's how you came about.
Yeah. Right. So, it's just those moments that are, teachable moments, but it's moments that also that bring us closer together. And as I always say, humanizes us.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think as our children, sometimes they might see us as superheroes of sorts.
That's right.
Right? Because they feel like we just take care of everything and we can do no wrong. But no, we do wrong.
Yeah.
We have missteps.
Absolutely.
We have things that we don't do correctly or don't approach correctly or don't say, correctly. But I think there's beauty in that as well because they see that we're flawed just like everybody else.
Absolutely.
So
have you ever posted something and like, ooh, I shouldn't, and then taken it down? Or do you authentically post whatever?
What I post is what I post.
Okay.
My kids know who their dad is.
Got it. Okay.
And like I tell people all the time, my mom knows who she gave birth to.
Uh-huh.
So people like, your mom follows you on social media and you put that? Yeah. Because she knows who her son is.
Absolutely.
And if people know who my dad is, then they're not surprised because he's much worse.
Yeah.
I like to say I'm the PG-13 version of my dad's X-rated version.
Gotcha.
My dad is outlandish.
Mm-hmm.
So when people, know who I am, they're not surprised.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And the reason why I ask is there are some people, they will post and then take it down. As soon as someone says something negative, they take it down. And I know some people be like, listen, I take the good, the bad, whatever you want. That's a part of my content. That's who I am. I'll deal with the backlash later. Yeah. If there is any backlash. Yeah.
Yeah. I think with content, you have to learn how to do that because in this day and age of trolls, you're going to have people that are going to say something negative.
Yeah.
You're going to have people that are just not, some people just genuinely not going to like it.
Yeah.
Right. They're not going to agree with whatever you said or whatever stance you took. And you just got to be okay with that.
Right.
And when people say mean things or crazy stuff in my comments, you know what I do? Like. I click the like button. I like that. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I appreciate
it probably
that.
It probably throws them off like, whoa.
And I hope it does because I welcome it all because not everybody's going to agree with me. Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to use that. Let me love it.
Yep.
How about that? Okay. So my team, when we were talking about the guests that I was going to have on Digging Deep, they were like, why are you bringing a podcaster onto your podcast? And I said, it's because he's authentic. And there are people out there that are sitting on gifts and afraid to take the leap. And when they go and talk to people, do you think I should do it? people are telling them no because they are afraid that they're going to be overshadowed by, by them. However, I also say just because you can bake a cake doesn't mean you need to open a bakery.
That's a fact.
Okay. So I want people who are listening that are thinking about starting a podcast to know that if you can do it, if I can do it, just by talking about our just relatable experiences, that you should just absolutely do it. You have to be patient with it because you're not going to just hit the ground running. You have to build it up. So what is the secret to building not just listeners but loyalists?
I think the first thing is, just being your authentic self. It's easy to create content and, be consistent. That's the other thing. It's easy to do those two things when you are who you say you are. You don't have to think too hard or be super, super creative to come up with all this other stuff because it's in you. It's who you are. So that's the easiest thing because, quite honestly, I mean, there are times where I have ideas about stuff and I'm like, but you know what? I am who I am.
Yeah.
So I just roll with it. And, it makes it very easy when you are your authentic self.
Right. But what's the difference between being authentic and performing? Is there a difference?
Yeah, there's a big difference because, like I said, you don't have to try. It just comes naturally. And, of course, when you're out in the world, there are people out there who know you.
Yeah, they know. Yeah,
there are people out there who know you, and on social media, there will be people who will call you out if you're out here doing things and participating in things that they know you're really not, as they say, about that life. People will call you out on it, or people will post content to the contrary.
Have you had that happen before?
No, because I don't do anything outlandish or anything against what I present. But I've seen it happen where people like, hey, this is what I do, and somebody posted something in the comments and say, well, according to this video, this is not what you do.
Yeah, do you like that?
Well, perfect example is when you have some of those guys who act really tough on social media and talk all this stuff, and then somebody runs up on them in the street, and then they run or they don't want to fight. No,
I have seen that.
This is what you say you do. This is what you say you're about. So this is the energy that you're gonna bring.
Yeah.
Is this what you really want? Probably not. But you have guys like, perfect example, Charleston White. He puts out a lot of negative energy. Maybe that is who he is.
Yeah.
But it's negative energy. So you're going to have guys that want to test you.
I haven't seen him in a while. Is he still?
Yeah, he's still out there.
Okay, I'm like, still alive? Because he said some crazy stuff.
Yeah, he's still out there, but that's what he is. You have, just like when you were just talking about different, people wanting to get into podcasts or anything in life, you're going to have people in different lanes. Yeah. There's a lane for everybody. What Charleston White does is similar to what Howard Stern did for the radio world, right. Shock Jock. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to do stuff that's going to wow you, that's going to shock you, that's going to say, wow, I can't believe he did that.
Yeah.
I can't believe he said that.
Yeah.
There's an audience for that. And there's also going to be people out there when they see you in public, they're going to be like, hey, you said you do this, so what about it now?
Yeah. Do you think the audience between Howard Stern and Charleston White, do you think people relate to them differently because of race? Like, do they accept Stern a little bit more than they do Charleston White? What are your thoughts?
I think so, but I also think because of when they came about, like Howard Stern has been in radio forever.
Yeah.
Prior to social media, of course. So with Charleston White coming into the know during social media age, the approach is going to be different, and how people view him is going to be different. And of course, the things that he says, is inflammatory,
right?
And directed at certain people. So those people that he's, aiming these comments at, they're going to have something to say, and their fans are going to have something to say as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a difference between building a community and an audience?
Yes.
Okay.
To me, building a community is people who are going to really support you, not just watch. Right. There are, let's just say, when you are growing up in a smaller community, or a smaller neighborhood. And I know now it's different, but back in the day, like if you went to certain schools, like, if you're from Oak Cliff area, Texas, Dallas, Texas,
Yeah.
it's Carter, Kimball. So when we were growing up, me going to Kimball, if you go to Kimball, you go to a Kimball game, there are going to be Kimball fans
Right.
at every game.
Every game.
They're not just there to watch football, they're there to watch Kimball play football.
That's right.
So that's a difference when you have listeners and you have a community that's built. They're tuning in to listen to Big Ken, not just the Fire Session or any show that I'm associated with. So that's the difference. You have people that are loyalists. You have people that if you have merch, if you have things of that nature, the community people, they will support.
Right.
The audience, they're just there to be entertained. So that's the difference.
Okay.
So people who are actually going to support you and people who are just there to take part in, the entertainment piece of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you build your community, no matter how small or big it is, that's your community, those are your people. What usually happens to make you lose that connection? What have you seen?
I think there are topics that people, when it comes to podcasting or radio or live shows or any of that in that lane, that people want you to address, and I think that that's been the biggest thing. There have been things that have come up that people reach out and say, "Hey, Ken, I want y'all to address this," or "Why don't y'all talk about this?" And there are certain things that I tell people, to be honest with you, I just stay away from, because I don't want certain types of energy.
Got it.
Right. And
Okay.
I don't want to alienate people, and I don't want to sway people. Because I think when you do have a community, when you do have people who, are avid fans of yours or listeners, when you have an opinion, some of them have an opinion, and their opinion is based on yours.
Right.
So a lot of times when I post stuff, people like, "Hey, I see you post something, but you don't never comment on it, or you don't never tell me what you thought. You just ask the question," because I don't want to comment. And then that sways the audience now, because now they're going to be like, "Okay, well, we're going to go with what he thinks."
Got it. That makes sense.
I don't want you to go with what I think. I want to know what you actually think.
Huh.
Then I'll comment on the back end.
Then you comment on the back end.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to have to use that. That's great. Now, you mentioned the Fire Session, and it's fire.
Fire.
The fire, not fire.
Yeah.
Fire Session. So you mentioned that, and I was a guest on there many, many moons ago. I had a really great time. Talk about how they came to be, the people who are on there with you. You mentioned the Voltron analogy.
Okay, so again, we go back to the beginning of the pandemic. I go live, and I use my favorite hashtag, "You See It." So that show was called "You See It Live."
Okay.
Simple. All I was doing was taking the comments, taking the memes and anything that I posted. I was taking it, capturing it, and putting it on the screen, and actually giving my live commentary on this actual picture, this video, or whatever it is that I had, whatever content I had. So from that, I had another young lady see me on my show. Somebody shared it with her. So she just happened to be a cousin of a family member. So she has her own podcast and live show and magazine. So she was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a co-host. Why don't you come and be my co-host?" So that show was called "Keeping Up the Conversation."
Okay.
So I became part of that show. But while I became part of that show, I started working on an idea for a platform that I could talk with other people about current events, the dating scene, whatever was going on. So that's how the Fire Session came about. So the Fire Session started with, as named, the Friday Fire Session. So every Friday,
I remember that. Okay.
So every Friday we would go live, and we would talk about things, and then we would go to one of our favorite hangouts, after the pandemic kind of lifted, called Sandaga. So we would go there every Friday night. So we would have the conversation, go to Sandaga, and continue it. So between those three things, I had those three shows going at the same time.
Okay.
So after a while, the You See It Live kind of kind of fell to the wayside, which I regret, because what that show was in 2020 and 2021 when I was doing it was the predecessor to what you see people doing commentary videos and a lot of TikTok videos.
Yeah.
So when you see people with those half screens and they're talking about a video or they're laughing at a video, some of them just not even saying anything, just looking at it.
Yeah.
I was doing that in 2020.
Oh, really?
Before everybody else started doing it.
And they have 30, 40, 50,000 likes. I'm like,
yeah,
let me do a remix or something.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm not tooting my own horn. But it's just receipts. I got receipts. In 2020, I was doing this before everybody started doing it.
Got it.
So again, that's where you have to be consistent and not allow, I guess, the traction of views and likes and things to kind of, to turn you off from certain things. Because when I started doing the fire session and we started talking about dating and things like that, of course, everybody gravitates to that.
Mm-hmm.
So that took off so much. I was like, well, I'm just going to shelf this one and just focus my energies on the fire session, which was cool, but I could have actually done both.
Yeah.
Right. So the fire session, it went through a couple of changes. We started out with me and a young lady that I grew up with and one of my cousins. And then, certain dynamics, you just try it out and it doesn't work out. So my cousin dropped off. So it was just me and this young lady. So me and this young lady had the show going for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out really well. We talked mostly about dating and, just day-to-day stuff, just kind of, the average stuff. Most of it was dating, though.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when I came up with the idea to focus more of my energies on things outside of dating, everybody's talking about dating. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about, community involvement. Let's start bringing people on, interviews and trying to, highlight these people and what they're doing. So actually one of my first guests on the show that we brought in was Kevin Kelly from Kitchen and Cocktails.
Mm-hmm. His birthday's today. Hey, birthday, Kevin.
So he was one of our first, especially big name people that we brought on the show and interviewed him. And that interview happened to be during the time where he had the national story of the young lady twerking on the table.
That was crazy.
So that was a big interview for us. And, we went from there. And when the young lady transitioned to another show and doing her own thing, then another one of my cousins who was very instrumental in, my day-to-day stuff and going back and forth on social media, Benji Banks, he was like, hey, I'll join you on the show if you need somebody just to go back and forth with until you find somebody else.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's cool, man. We can definitely do that. And he never left. Right.
Okay.
So he stayed with me. And then along that journey, we also interviewed another young lady. Her name was Trisha Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
So Trisha Michelle owned a hairline and was doing a beautician and had all these business stuff. So when she came on and did her interview, the chemistry was amazing on the show. So people were actually commenting on the show, man, y'all have really good chemistry. Like, y'all should keep her because, y'all have, it's two dudes up here all the time. And, of course, the ladies want a voice on the show.
Right.
Like, you guys are doing a good job, but hey, you need a lady up there to tell you what the ladies feel. So we reached out to Trisha Michelle and she obliged and she joined the show too. So with us three being on the show, we're going on 3 years together.
That is amazing. Have you all have you been able to monetize the show?
A little bit. The monetization piece of it is kind of tricky at points. So yes, I'll say yes, but not the way we want to, of course.
Yeah.
So we're working on some things now where we can align things a little bit more and establish a little bit more of a footprint on YouTube. Because to be honest with you and transparent, a lot of people don't understand when you monetize, YouTube is the place that pays you the most. These other platforms, they pay you literally pennies for views. So it's, it's a little bit here and there, enough for you to buy you a combo or something. But
right.
it's not what people make it out to, unless you're going viral all the time. And for us, we don't even look at that. If we go viral, or we've had clips that have been seen by hundreds of thousands, but it's also just the consistency of keep putting out solid content that maybe one day people will look at and say, you know what, we see more value in this than we do this other stuff over here, these fight videos and things like that, and it'll take care of itself at some point.
Yeah, and before the show, we talked about you being a writer. Mm-hmm. You're not a comedian, you're a writer for comics, correct? And so when we talk about consistency versus creativity, which one matters more for growth?
For growth, I would go with consistency.
Okay.
Because you can be as creative as you want to, but if you're not putting out constant content, it's the way the algorithms work. Yes. You have to be consistent.
Yeah.
So that's how you're seen. Every now and again, you have people who go viral, and I equate going viral as to a one-hit wonder.
Mm-hmm.
You got people who go viral and turn it into something else.
Yeah.
But a majority of these people go viral and that's it.
Right.
They go viral at one time, and then it's like, what happened to this guy? Or what happened to this lady? You don't see them anymore. I'd rather be that person that's just consistent and along the way, also displaying their creativity. So when you see my content, you know that the quality is there, it's crisp. When you hear the show, you're going to hear it. When you see the visuals, they're clear, they're in HD, they're in 4K. Everything aligns with what it should be. And like I said, eventually the right people are going to see it anyway. So.
Yeah. And I'm super proud of you, even more so because of the fact that you all really haven't monetized the multiple platforms the way that means you're doing this for the love of community and the love of creativity. That means more to me, and I'm sure plenty of others, because money is not the driving force. You have a full-time job, you're a full-time dad, and you love doing this, and you're being consistent. So that's amazing.
Yeah, really and truly, it is, as they say, a labor of love. And it sticks with me all the time. One of my mentors told me when I was in my early 20s, he used to always ask me, will you do it for free? And that's when you really know you're passionate about something, when you're willing to do it and not get paid for it.
Yeah.
And I tell my kids all the time, your biggest opportunities, a lot of them won't come with a paycheck attached to it.
That's right.
Right. So it's just experience. So you have to take those opportunities. And like I said, I'm a firm believer in myself and my skill set, and know that, at some point I'm going to have the opportunity to, get some of those big gains and things like that people achieve. But that's not my overall outlook. Right. It's not what I get up in the morning saying, man, I hope I go viral today.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not worried about that, because I also know that with the good comes the bad.
Yes.
Right. When you go viral, when a lot of people know you, a lot of people know you.
Right.
And then when a lot of people know you, that means a lot of people know your family, they know your business, they know things. So it's things that come along with that I think a lot of people don't know and don't understand. So they want what they see. They want what comes with, the money, the things, but they're not, in tune with the other things on the back end that come along, because of course the celebrities and people don't share that with you.
Right.
Right.
And a lot of celebrities that I've talked to have said if they could go back, they would have stayed in their quote unquote regular lives, because the money does not justify the sacrifices they've had to make for themselves, for their families. And so I'm like, let me try it. The money aspect. Because, I ran for, city council back in 2021.
Okay.
And I lost. However, it was a great run. And I actually didn't lose. I learned a lot of lessons, right? And so every election cycle, someone's asking me, are you going to run again? Run again. And I say all the time, I will support those who want to run, because the spotlight that was put on my life, and just my daughter being followed to school, people just randomly coming to the funeral home just to see what's going on, not really to be served. And I'm going into the grocery store and I have to make sure I have certain things on and all the things. I could not just be. And my personality is I want to serve God's people in the way that he told me to. And when it's time for me to have my time, I want to have my time.
Yeah.
And so the same thing goes with viral. Someone asked me, with all these podcasts that you're posting, don't you hope to one day become viral? I said, I want the audience that God wants me to have that will allow me to still live a full life
Yeah.
and be able to come and go in the way that I prefer.
Yeah.
And so you say you've been out in public and people scream, you see it and all of that. Is that how you measure your impact? Or because we talked about it's not really about the likes and the hearts and stuff. How do you know, like for sure, and what keeps you going every day that you turn on that camera? What is your measure for impact?
When people come to me and and tell me, hey, when you had Miss Christie on the show and she talked about her funeral home and she talked about the cremation piece of it, that kind of sold me on that. Because I changed my mind, because I know my mom, she had expressed wanting to be cremated, and I wasn't a proponent for that. But after that interview, I changed my mind. Those type of things, when people come to me and say that, that means a lot to me. When we have people that come to me with real world examples of how they took the knowledge that they gained from the show and applied it in their own lives. We had one of my friends come on and talk about life insurance. People went and signed up with him and other people to get life insurance.
Yeah.
Like those type of things are the things that we lean on, because I mean, let's just be honest, at the end of the day, we have a lot of fun on the show. We act up and cut up and do all this stuff.
Right.
But we want people to learn things, because that's what's going to last.
That's right.
Right. What you learn is going to last. And, yeah, you're going to laugh and be entertained. But, you've seen a lot of great movies and you don't remember them. Right.
Right.
But some things in that movie that you learned about, maybe something that you could apply to your own life, that's what stuck with you.
Right.
So I'd rather have that. I'd rather have that piece of, that's what's lasting, what you learn.
I love that. And I would love to be on the show again. It was a long time since I've been on there.
Yeah. So. We were definitely going to discuss that.
I'm just go ahead and put it out there like that. So as we wrap the show, I would want you to take some time to talk to those who are listening that are on the fence about starting, who have started but find themselves in a valley or plateaued, in their pursuit of having what they consider to be a successful podcast. Talk to them about what it means to stick to it and what they should do if they find themselves doubting their purpose in this space.
Well, my thing is, first thing is there are many different types of podcasts out there. And, if it's just a podcast, or as I say before, a live show, or whatever medium you want to put it out there, you have to find what you're passionate about, what works for you. Because if you play video games and that's your thing, talk about video games.
Yeah.
If you knit sweaters and you very into knitting, talk about knitting. Like, don't create a platform talking about something because it's popular and it's not what you're really into. Talk about what you know and talk about what you feel passionate about. Because that's what's going to keep you going, and that's what's going to push you, and that's what's going to propel you. Because there's going to be a lot of days that you don't feel like creating content, but
that's
you
right.
have to, because you have to have that consistency. And that's what's going to propel you, because you're passionate about it, you love it, and you know what you're talking about. Too many people create platforms that fizzle out because they're trying to do something that they aren't keen on or they're not in tune with.
Yes.
If you're not in tune with it, it's gonna show itself.
Right.
Right. Because eventually, if you're not in tune with it, just like if you're playing the guitar, you've been taught a certain number of songs. Eventually, you're gonna run out of songs to play.
Right.
And people are gonna, not want to hear the same songs over and over again.
That's right.
So that's where, doing it because you love it and allows you to open up another level of creativity. Because there's going to be days too where you get discouraged, where you look at maybe your likes, maybe your follows, or maybe the people that you have subscribed. They might not look like you want it to look. The numbers might not be there, but you're doing it because you love it.
Right.
Not because of you're motivated by the number of subscribers or the number of likes or the number of views. because I mean, there's going to be a day that you're going to look up and, you're going to look back and you're going to say, wow, I almost quit, 2 years ago. And now look at where I've, been able to get to, because, and I also equate it to this. Um, I don't know if you've all seen the picture. There's a picture that's floating around meme of a guy um, digging through a wall, and he's trying to find treasure,
Mm-hmm.
and he quits, but he's only maybe a foot away from finding the goal, but he quit.
Mm.
So you can't think that you're going to be successful in any way, in any shape or form, if you quit.
Right.
Like, you gotta keep going. Maybe that goal is there, 3 years from now. Maybe it's not there for 13 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really love it, you'll keep going and you'll be rewarded for it.
Right. That reminds me of that Tyler Perry movie with Taraji, when the man she was married to had the invention. What was that called? I forgot the name of it. And it took him like 13 years. She left him, gave up on him, and he finally hit the lick. It's like $75 million or what have you.
Yep.
And he said, I just needed you to wait for me. Just be there for me. And then, back in the day, they had the saying, know when to hold, know when to fold.
Yep.
So it seems as though you're saying, if first of all, make sure you're walking in your purpose.
Yep.
And doing what you're supposed to do, and then listen to your intuition. Your intuition, not everyone around you, your intuition will tell you that you're doing what's right, or to pivot, or, how to make a move. But you have to first know yourself. You have to be connected to your source.
Yep.
And then go for it.
Yep. You have to listen to the voice that you hear the most, and that's yours.
That's yours. Mm-hmm.
So and that's going to be the only voice that you got to deal with when everything is said and done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, if you don't try what you're wanting to try, now that's where the regret comes in for me.
Yeah.
The regret doesn't come in for me from not doing things a certain way, or not being able to take advantage of these opportunities that may or may not have been for me. The regret comes in, from not even trying.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned earlier, I look at it and I equate it to this in life seriously. Like, I don't say I lost anything. I learned from whatever opportunities or whatever things that were presented for me, and maybe they just weren't for me, but I learned from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's say today is your final day on this earth. Okay. And they give me a call and say, Kenneth Boston, Big Ken has passed. What legacy would you want to leave behind?
I just want people to understand, number one, that, I tell people this all the time. I'm a dad. I love my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So my kids understand and know that I love them. That's the most important thing to me. Outside of that, I want just people to understand that, I'm who I am, 100% of the time. So either you like me or you don't. Either you love me or you don't. And I love people. I genuinely do things and say things in the hopes that, it has a positive impact, and I'm about positivity.
Mm-hmm.
So when people stand up there to, at the wake or at the funeral to say these things, you might hear some wild stories, but just know that I'm okay with it, because, that's who I was, or, those were my experiences. So I have nothing to hide. I am who I am.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Digging Deep. I hope today's conversation unearthed something meaningful, a truth, a lesson, or a little more peace for your journey. Remember, living well is how we honor the past, and leaving well is how we bless the future. If this episode spoke to your spirit, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to follow and subscribe on your favorite platform so you never miss an opportunity to dig a little deeper. Until next time, I'm Dr. Christie K, reminding you that purpose is found beneath the surface. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Digging Deep. I hope today's conversation unearthed something meaningful, a truth, a lesson, or a little more peace for your journey. Remember, living well is how we honor the past, and leaving well is how we bless the future. If this episode spoke to your spirit, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to follow and subscribe on your favorite platform so you never miss an opportunity to dig a little deeper. Until next time, I'm Dr. Christie K, reminding you that purpose is found beneath the surface.